Very good morning, cadets. Hope you are doing well. At the same time, hope you are going through or completing the task assigned to you. The last previous few video sessions, the keynotes related to few chapters in history. So I hope you are writing those notes, key points, because very important to understand the chapter in a nutshell. In this video session, that is for 21st January, today let us discuss about chapter number 5, that is rulers and buildings. Chapter number 5 detailed video is posted already. In this chapter, where we studied about the various style of construction in the medieval Indian history. As you know, in the medieval Indian history, several new dynasties were formed or invasions from Arab countries or the establishment of Mughal dynasty. So even in the style of construction or the shape of building, structure of construction also changed. So cadet, if you could recall, in India, the temple construction style, the three styles of temple construction. One is called Dravida style of construction, second is called Nagara style of construction, third is called Chalukya style of construction. When we discussed about the Chola kingdom, I posted video related to Thanjavur temple. So Thanjavur temple, Madurai Meenakshi temple, a huge temple complex. Example for Dravida style of construction. Those who visited Badami, Aihole, Pattadkal, this is Chalukya style of temple construction. The temples of Varanasi, North India, is called Vesara style of construction. Even Kendriya Mahadeva temple of Khajuraho, example for Nagara style of temple construction. So regarding this, of course, we discussed in detail when the regular videos related to the chapters was on. So cadets, today take your notebooks, please write down the key points related to the chapter number 5, that is rulers and building. Between 8th and 18th centuries, the kings and their officers built two kinds of structure. The first were structure of grandiose, while second for structure for public activity. Emerging skills and construction. Monuments provide an insight into technologies used for construction. Between 7th and 10th century, architects started adding more rooms, doors and windows to the building. So what you have to understand here, the area of construction is improved. The magnitude of construction also increased. That's the reason why the buildings started getting mammoth size or huge size. Roofs, doors and windows were made by placing horizontal beam across two vertical columns, a style of architecture called Terabet or corbelled. So corbelled new style of construction started in which the horizontal beam across the two vertical columns. So this style of construction is called corbelled style of construction. So if you visit Gol Gumbaz, you can observe all the corbelled style of construction. Two technological and stylistic development of from 12th century are accurate architectural form and use of limestone mixed with the stone chips that led to faster construction. Cadets, you know, today we use cement and bricks for the purpose of construction, because cement and bricks, of course, the speed of construction is very high, fast, is good today because of the availability of sand, cement and other materials. So those days, the first time they started using limestone mixed with the stone chips. So the limestone and other few herbal ingredients were mixed and kept for nearly 40 days, and this mixture was taken later for the construction of any building. The Gol Gumbaz is also constructed by using the same technology, because Gol Gumbaz was constructed much before in India, where we started using cement. So limestone and stone chips, where they became the major part of construction, building construction. Now let us move to next types of buildings. We saw the two types of buildings. One, the building for private purpose, that is palace or other important buildings related to the palace, and the second, buildings of public use like park, temple, well. They are considered as buildings for public. Temples and mosques were beautifully constructed because they were the place of worship and meant to demonstrate the power, wealth and devotion of the patron. Now, whenever you visit any dargah or a temple or a mosque, every king started investing huge income for the construction of temple. That's the finest example. You can mention the example of Taj Mahal. Taj Mahal is a memorial place in memory of the king's wife. Why such a grand building is constructed? So that to show to the world that the kingdom of Mughals were very rich. The same way, temples constructed by Hindu kings, they are quite huge, not only huge, and grand style of construction. Why this grand style of construction is done? To show demonstrate their power and the wealth and their devotion. Take for example, if king is worshipping Lord Shiva, generally during his tenure, more Shiva temples or temples for Lord Shiva will be constructed. Those are visited Mahakot near Badami. You can see several Shiva temples, because Mahakota was considered as one of the leading center for Shaivites during medieval Indian history. The largest temples were all constructed by kings, and other lesser deities in the temples were gods and goddesses of the allies and subordinate rulers. So generally in a temple, in the main sanctum belongs to the god generally the king used to worship, and subordinates, that is lesser important deities or temples of gods and goddesses, belongs to the subordinate. Means, if you remember, we studied in the second and third chapter about Samanta. Samanta is a subordinate ruler. So imagine when Cholas constructed huge temple, the Samantas who belongs to Chola, they also constructed a smaller temple so that to show their relation with the emperor. That is the reason why the subordinate rulers also constructed temples, but of lesser size. Okay. Third point, Muslims Sultan Padshahs did not claim to be incarnation of God, but Persian court chronicles described the Sultan as a shadow of God. Now, according to Quran never claimed that king is an incarnation of God. Okay. But if you remember European world or the Western world, the divine origin theory, it was very popularly explored or explained in the European world. According to divine origin theory, the Pope propounded that king and Pope they are the agents of God, incarnations of God. But according to Muslim, they never believed that king or Muslim Sultan is an incarnation of God. But few Persian writings clearly said that Sultan as a shadow of God, means some kind of divine power is there in the Sultan. That's why he is considered as shadow of God. Shadow of God. As a new dynasty came to power, kings wanted to emphasize their moral light to the rulers. Now, if you remember, as each new dynasty came to power, the kings wanted to emphasize their moral right to be a ruler. In this context, I hope you remember about Hiranyagarbha. So, what is Hiranyagarbha? Hiranyagarbha was a ritual practiced by non-Kshatriya kings. Why Hiranyagarbha practice was done by the non-Kshatriya kings? Because Hiranyagarbha was a practice so that they wanted to empower themselves as the kings. Because those days there was an unwritten law that only Kshatriya can establish the kingdom. If you remember Kadambas of Banavasi, Mayura Sharma established kingdom and performed the ritual called Hiranyagarbha. So please remember and recall what I taught in the previous sessions. It was widely believed that the rule of a just king would be an age of plenty when the heavens would not withhold rain. It is always believed that if the king is ruling in a justful manner, then definitely he can bring heaven on the earth. That is what the belief. Okay. Now let us move to the point why temples were destroyed. If you visit Aihole and Pattadkal, even if you visit Halebeedu near Belur, several Hindu temples were destroyed. Why the temples were destroyed? Many times you may felt that why the temples are destroyed by the Muslim invaders. Now, what history explains that since king built temple to demonstrate their devotion to the god and their power and wealth, they attacked and targeted these buildings when they attached one another kingdom. So we read about one or two sentences that huge temples were constructed to demonstrate the power. So whenever invasion, aggression, the first target was temple. One of the reason is that temple was the storehouse of wealth. So those who are interested in looting wealth, they generally targeted temple. That's the reason why Somnath temple of Gujarat attacked several times for the plundering or looting of wealth. In the early 11th century, when Chola king Rajendra I built Shiva temple in his capital, he filled it with the prized statues seized from defeated rulers. This, of course, in detail we discussed that from different parts of India where his expedition and he defeated kings and made them as samantas, and he collected prized possession from them, and all those prized possessions were kept in the temple, so that he want to show to the world that Rajendra Chola is one of the greatest king. Gardens, tombs and forts. Under the Mughal architecture became more complex. Babur, Humayun, Akbar, Jahangir and Shah Jahan were personally interested in literature, art and architecture. Babur got gardens called Char Bagh. This, of course, we studied in very detailed manner about Char Bagh, built in Kabul. They were further constructed in Kashmir, Agra and Delhi by Akbar, Jahangir. There is a spelling mistake. Jahangir and Shah Jahan. Akbar's architecture is visible in his father Humayun's tomb. Under Shah Jahan, Mughal architecture were fused together in a grand harmonious and synthesis. So Mughals started concentrating more on construction of public buildings, because gardens, tombs and forts, they were all public building. So public building, Mughals started concentrating more on public building because they want to demonstrate their power. That's the reason why they started concentrating more on public buildings. The ceremonial halls of public and private audience were carefully planned. Shah Jahan adopted Char Bagh, the technique in the layout of Taj Mahal, the grandest architecture accomplished during his period. Region and empire. As construction activity increased between 8th and 18th century, there were several considerable sharing of ideas across the regions. In Vijayanagara, for example, the elephant stables of the rulers were strongly influenced by the style of architecture found in the adjoining sultanates of Bijapur and Golconda. In Vrindavan near Mathura, temples were constructed in architectural style that were very similar to the Mughal palaces in Fatehpur Sikri. The creation of large empire that brought different regions under their rule. This helped in the cause of the cross fertilization of artistic forms and architectural styles. The Mughal adopted Bangla Dome in their style of architecture. So we, of course, seen the image of Bangla Dome also, because there's a picture in your textbook which I shown and I explained regarding style of architecture. Okay, so this is regarding the particular chapter, that is rulers and building, chapter number 5. Buildings, temples, mosques and tanks, buildings of public order, why the temples were destroyed, gardens, tombs and forts, region and empire. So this is keynote related to the chapter number 5. Please write down. Thank you. Wish you a wonderful day. Thank you very much.